Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, chair of Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
Good evening and welcome to the Right Side Podcast, the August 26th version. We are excited. We have some great guests here today, and we're going to get right off on the right foot with our illustrious Sheriff Michael Murphy, who's our opening guest tonight. Later on, we'll have Pastor Bill Bowen, and he gets to come here and talk about his fun. So we're going to start. Sheriff Murphy with greetings from Wayne County in the city of Highland Park. I tease Mark Price here, who is a regular voter, that he's exactly half of the Wayne County Republican Party. But we love it. We love him here. We love him coming on board. So, all right, Mike, let's start right off. You're in the middle of a Senate, well, not in the middle, but you're kind of moving on a Senate campaign. Talk about what's going on there.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for joining us, Mark. And I want to say probably the Wayne County Republicans is just a little bit bigger than two people. I was shocked, and this will lead into the race. I've been making my rounds. Obviously, the 22nd district covers all Livingston County, which I've been here for 35 years with the sheriff's office, so pretty well planted, if you will. But making my rounds in the areas that don't are not included in Livingston County. So, anyways, I was up to the Genesee County Republicans, and I truly expected to go there and find like 5 people. But I was pleasantly surprised, actually. They got a very dynamic group up there. So keep it up, Mark, and everybody else in Genesee. So anyways, that's really all I'm doing for the Senate campaign, is just making my presence known in those areas that I'm not maybe so well known in. The municipalities, going and introducing myself to the township, village, and city officials, and trying to get out there that way, and asking them that if there's anything that I can do, or they want to plant some seeds for future things to let me know. So that's the plan there. Speaking of campaigning, yes, I have my sheriff uniform on. No, that is not a campaign finance violation.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you about that.
And by the way, the reason I do, I would probably have a golf shirt on if otherwise, but I came from Jim Reed's funeral visitation today.
Such a loss of sanity.
For anybody that knew Jim, Vietnam vet, worked for the Howell City Police Department for I think about 10, 11 years, and then went to work for the fire department and retired as a chief twice, actually. Just a great man. The impact that he had on public safety here in the county, it can't be overstated. I always say that we've got a phenomenal group of public safety folks in the county. We work very, very well together. a lot of that is because of the architecture of Jim Reed and the folks that came before us. So, no more suffering, Jim. Godspeed, brother. So
I had the pleasure of, when I worked at the newspaper, I had these columns once every week. Every Sunday I would have a column, and it would rotate between that. Remember the Just My Style, where I had Bob Azada on there and the judge and all that. One of the things I did was something called Peculiar Pastimes, and I would focus on somebody who had an interesting hobby. He was an avid fly fisherman.
Yes, he was.
And I did an article about him, and he made his own flies.
Yes.
And the opening line, actually, that article won. It was like in the top 3 articles. I don't know what they call them, like human interest articles in the state that year. It won an award. But my opening line was, "If at first you don't succeed, tie again."
They had some of his ties, some of his flies, tie flies, at the funeral home today, and beautiful. Yeah, he did a great job. So,
anyway.
Rest in peace, brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
but you're not in violation.
I'm not in violation of campaign
finance.
finance. So let me just chat about that for half a second.
Good.
So I took some heat the other day, a week or two ago, about using county resources to send a couple emails. I have since reimbursed the county for that. I did my own figuring on that, and worked out to be about $35. And then that was on the high side. On the low side, I got it down to about $9, but I figured I better just do the right thing and spend the $35 at any rate.
Was that like an accident, or was it something you didn't know, or how did that happen?
No, you know what? I'm
like autopilot.
I'm a pretty busy guy, right?
Okay.
So there was this stemmed around a series of emails. Not from the same person, but from a couple different people about a Mike Rogers event that came to my county account. There was, literally a 2-second answer. Yep, looks good. Nope, I'll call so-and-so, whatever. I mean,
just autopilot.
Yeah, just autopilot responses.
Okay.
So anyways, I got called out on it. Yep, I admit it. I'm wrong. So here's my $35. Now, whether or not they whoever decides to file a formal campaign finance violation, we'll deal with that if it comes, and I'll show them what I sent to the county, and hopefully that'll put that to bed. But speaking of that, I want to circle back. One of the things, when this came up, one of the news outlets reported that there was still pending determination on the Trump visit, and that's not true. Originally, I was found in violation of campaign finance violation. And I would have been happy if they would have said, "Hey, pay your $100, $200, whatever." I'd have paid it and just ate it and been about my business. But when they started asking for numbers about how much overtime was spent and how much it cost, and I think it ended up being about $40,000, I got to thinking, you know what? If they're going to try to get in my pocket that much, I better push back a little bit.
Yep.
So to make a real long story short, the initial was you're found in violation. You can't do what you did. They had what's called a redetermination, and they found that I was not in violation. As a matter of fact, I did everything that I should have and did do. By way of example, the Trump administration did rent the building at the sheriff's office for $1,000. So that's open to any candidate. You want to write me a check for $1,000 and fill out the building use permit with the county. You too can have an event there. We'll get it cleared out, and there you go. But here's the interesting thing that not too many people know. So I reached out to my friends at the Department of Management and Budget with the state. Well, let me back up. So one of the things in the determination letter was, yes, Sheriff, it's true that municipalities host presidential candidates, but it's also true that they get reimbursed for their, it's customary to get reimbursed for their time and energy and effort, their resources and overtime spent on the event. So I reached out to my friends at the Department of Management and Budget with the state police, and my question to them was, after August, so not before August, once it was nailed down that it was going to be Trump and Harris, how much did the state police spend on overtime for their escorts of both candidates? And the number was $600K. It was, believe it or not, it was pretty equal. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like, 280 something and 302 or something like that, whatever. But it was $600,000 that was spent from the state police. So, of course, my next question to them was based on my letter from the Bureau of Elections saying that it's customary that public safety get reimbursed for that, was obviously, how much did the state of Michigan get reimbursed for these details for Harris and Trump? Anybody care to guess?
The big goose egg?
Zero.
Okay, yeah.
So I filed a campaign finance violation on Colonel Grady, who runs the state police, and Governor Whitmer. And after they reviewed my retort, I guess, if you will, I got the redetermination that said, okay, we didn't realize that you were working in connection and concert with the Secret Service, which is a bunch of crap. How do you host a presidential candidate without working with the Secret Service? But since it was a public safety event, and since it was, security related, and you were doing it, okay, we're gonna let this one slide.
This is what we call the backstroke.
Kind of interesting that that they were going to try that. So my pushback paid off. Good for you. So
good for you.
We'll see how this one works out if somebody files a campaign finance. But
Jeffrey Michael thinks you're the best sheriff in the state.
Thanks,
especially
Jeffrey,
after that one,
that.
and our 50% of Wayne County there, Republican says he wants you to win the election.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Things are going good. And good. Listen, I just want to say this. There was a lot of factors that came into play with making that decision to run for the 22nd district. And one of them was my bench. One of them was a succession plan. Now, obviously, the sheriff is an elected position.
Sure.
So you can do all the succession planning in the world and hope that your man or woman gets elected, but ultimately it's up to the people. But I will tell you that my number 2 guy, Jason Pless,
he's fabulous.
Great dude. Our personalities are different, but our mindset is pretty well lockstep. He grew up here. Pless Road in Genoa Township actually is named after his family. They've been here 5 generations. His brother retired as a fire chief in Howell. He was the retired police chief in Green Oak Township. A little bit drinking from a fire hose when he came over to the sheriff's office.
Sure.
It's a little bigger operation, but the main thing was the jail that he had to learn. But he's done a great job. He'll be a great fit in the office. We've got a really good bench coming up. A lot of young talent that'll just carry on, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of walking away if I get elected.
Okay,
for sure.
good. So, that and I think that's when Bob retired, Sheriff Bazat retired, I know that there's always an angst when there's a big change at a department because the devil is better than the devil you don't.
Absolutely.
But when it came
Thanks for
to
calling
you,
me devil, by the way.
I said but. Put your horns down and be quiet. But when because you were there, that angst did not exist because people knew you. And I know I've teased you. You started campaigning 13 years before he announced. So so everybody knew you. Everybody was very confident in you. So nobody had the angst about Bob leaving. So that was a good thing. And I feel like. I don't feel like Jason is as well known as you were, but I think that the people that do know him feel that same bit of comfort. I've met him, I've dealt with him, and I have found him reasonable, intelligent, articulate, not.
He's actually a lot smarter than I am.
Well, I went, okay. I can't say that, you can. But what I can say is that he doesn't strike me as a guy that talks to hear himself make noise or to figure out a way to get in front of the camera at all times. And that is huge. I mean, that he just wants to do a good job. And so that's my take on him. So
things are there's going to be a very smooth transition. Now that said, not only the election, but if I leave midterm, there'll be an appointment.
Right.
So hopefully the 3 that make that appointment will
Who makes that
have
appointment?
the same conclusion. That would be our county clerk, Elizabeth Hundley, our prosecutor, Carolyn Henry, and probate judge, Miriam Kavanaugh.
Okay, all right.
So, and they all know Jason as being the chief there, and I'm sure they'll have some sort of interview process or whatever, and I'm not telling them how to do their job.
Right.
He's the guy.
But he's got a there's a good reason for them to support him. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
So and then the election, once he's in, the election is unless I suppose unless unless David Reeder comes back and wants to run.
He's threatened to do that.
I know.
I've actually told him. I said, dude, I'll just give you the badge if you want it that badge. You can have it. I really don't care.
Well, he came into the expo. Jason was heading, was one of two overseers of the expo, and Dave Reeder came in later and said, "I just told Jason I was here campaigning." Did he lose the color in his face? But anyway, so is that everything you got on the campaign trail?
Yeah, pretty much. It's been we had a great kickoff. We filed our first campaign finance reporting, so we're sitting on about 95K.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty good.
Not bad considering you're
not too shabby, right?
A million years ahead.
If anybody does decide to get in the race, they just got to know that they're going to have their hands full. I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm not going to sit back and.
No.
I've got people behind me that are willing to write a check. So.
Well, and that's terrific. So I have a big question to ask you as sheriff.
Is it multiple choice?
No.
No. True or false?
This is definition.
No.
Define super drunk.
So super drunk is anything over a 0.17.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that was a thing.
That is a thing.
That is
actually,
a thing.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
So they
talk about. There was an article. I read an article about somebody crashing into a super drunk.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, we got to ask about that.
Yeah. One of our patrol cars got whacked the other night. It's and it happens. Fortunately, this was the first time in probably about 3-4 years. But when you look at statistics nationwide, it's amazing how many patrol cars get hit. And sometimes, most times, it's because of intoxication of some sort. It's kind of like the moth to the flame, right? You kind of veer towards the lights. And then other times, it's just people not paying attention. So in this particular case, the deputies, thank God, they were on the passenger side. So they executed a traffic stop on the expressway. They approached on the passenger side, and the car wiped out the bad guy's car wiped out the entire driver's side of the SUV. And had there been a deputy standing at the door of the vehicle that was pulled over, it had killed him. There's no doubt in my mind. So anyways, back to your question. So when they changed the law from used to be per se drunk, or you're drunk no matter how you do your sobriety. Right. If you're drunk at a 0.10, they changed that to a 0.08, and then I'm not exactly sure, 5-6 years ago, something like that, they made this thing called super drunk that basically said, you know what, if you're 2+ times the legal limit, i.e. 0.17, you're super drunk. So,
is there a stricter penalty for that? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, my husband used to be a drunk driving defense attorney, and I think
that wasn't around back then.
No. So that's a new one. Nope, never heard that one before. Super drunk.
Super drunk.
All right, other sheriff news. You got a certification of some sort recently. So accreditation.
So we did get an accreditation, a recommendation for reaccreditation is what it is. So one of the things that I set out to do about 4 or 5 years ago now. The Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police came out with a program for what's called accreditation, and that whole thing got started because of one of the reasons I'm running for Senate, but because of a lot of the stuff that was going on in the legislature, in the fact that the legislature was and still is, frankly, trying to tell us how to do our job, which is maybe happens in some other industries, but not to the extent that they were trying to do it in our industry. So there were a couple of accreditation programs in the United States. There was a group that went to New Jersey and looked at their accreditation process. It kind of made sense. And basically what an accreditation is it sets out standards that says, we as best practices, we will meet these standards, obviously according to applicable law, and we'll stay on top of this, and we'll do all these things. It's an ISO 9000 type, type thing. So Chiefs of Police came up with that, rolled that out. They had a few departments that got on board, and then the Sheriff's Association said, well, we're a little bit different animal because we have a jail, but if we kind of split those and just looked at the field services or the road patrol operation, we should be able to be accredited too. And they're like, yes, we should. And as a matter of fact, maybe we should partner. So the Sheriff's Association then partnered with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. So now there's both organizations run this accreditation program, and and they don't run it. They oversee it, and they do analysis and evaluations on departments that think that they meet that criteria. So about 5 years ago, I said, hey, listen, we want to be the first sheriff's office in the state to do that. And it was a pretty heavy lift, but we got there. And then 3 years ago, we were the first sheriff's office in the state to become accredited. So this was the accreditation is only good for 3 years.
Okay.
So what they do is they come back and look under the nightgown again, peek behind the curtain and all that stuff, and make sure that you're doing everything you said you were going to do and continue to. But yes, we've been recommended, so we'll know for sure. I think it's September 4th when it'll get put to a vote whether or not they reaccreditate us or not. But I'm fairly comfortable.
Are you the first sheriff's department to be reaccredited now?
We will be the first sheriff's office to be reaccredited. Yeah.
Leading from the front.
Yeah.
Good.
So
something else I wanted to ask you about. You did a video. You do, by the way, your communication directly on video on some stuff that's going on and updating, that's fabulous. That is absolutely fabulous. It's timely, it's up to date. It lets people know where you stand on issues. That is good. And I strongly encourage you to keep that up in the Senate because, Senator Tice does a good job of communication, but I love your videos that are just, here's the issue, here's where I stand, and it's just wonderful. So keep that up.
I appreciate that, and that is my intention.
Good. So you did one of these videos about the state police and the situation there, and then it got, everybody was talking about the state police and something about the head of the state police not having any confidence by anybody else, and then it kind of all went dark. So can you kind of touch on that if you would?
I will. So I appreciate the feedback on the videos, and I get, when I'm out in the community, I get a ton of folks that go, hey, dude, love your videos.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't respond because there's other folks out there that are just ready to lop their head off with comments and stuff, which, by the way, I've said a million times before, and it will continue to be a one-way push. I'll just tell you how it is, and that's that. If you like it, fine. If you don't, fine. I'm not going to engage and get lost in the clutter. But anyways, yes, my point in that whole bringing that to the forefront was the state police union did a survey, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 96.2% or something like that. So more than 95% of the entire state police, from lieutenants on down, had essentially a vote of no confidence in their leadership. And they, I'll tell you a little bit more behind the scenes, but they tried to kind of take care of that quietly with the governor, in saying, hey, listen, this guy's not doing us any justice. We're going backwards as an organization. Morale's in the toilet, and morale's a hard thing, right? Because you're dealing with people's feelings and stuff. So that's a tough one all the way around. But when you've got over 95% of your organization saying there's a significant issue with leadership, you would think the leader of that organization, i.e. the governor, would stand up and take notice. But that's not what happened. So, the message is out there. What the people choose to do with it is what the people choose to do with it. Obviously, as citizens, we can't force the colonel of the state police to change policies and direction. We can't force the governor to do that. But, as the old saying goes, elections have consequences. And I just wish, one of the things, I've said this a million times, one of the things that makes our county so great is the fact, on the public safety level, and actually all levels, we work so well together. And it doesn't matter if Fowlerville PD succeeds, we succeed.
Right.
If Hamburg Township succeeds, we succeed. If we stub our toe, Green Oak Township stubs its toe.
Yep.
That's just how it works in public safety, and it's hurt the profession outside of the state police, frankly. And I'm not intimate with their details, but a lot of their practices in their promotions and where they're going as an organization, as far as not allowing their folks to do police work, it's gutting them, frankly.
Okay, so it's a status quo, though. I know it's been real quiet. I didn't know if something was going on.
The colonel's still there. The union's still, they're still going to continue their fight.
Was that the behind the scenes goodies, or was there more?
Well, there's more, but that's probably.
Oh, fine. Dangle it in front of us and then say, no, never mind.
That's like my wife. She'll say, hey, Dad. Oh, never mind.
Oh,
I hate that.
Or worse, don't tell anybody, right? No, never mind. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, one, not controversial, but what's the word? Debatable. Not even debatable. It's just uncertainty. There are times when there's talk about a community contracting, getting rid of or absorbing or whatever with their police department and contracting with the sheriff. Can you kind of run that from alpha to omega there and kind of let us know what takes place, what happens, what doesn't happen, the cost savings or potential cost savings, that kind of thing?
Grab a coffee, refreshen up your beer, or whatever. I'll give you the 5-10 minute version.
Okay. Well, this is important. People need to know this.
So here's one thing that a lot of folks don't understand.
Okay.
The sheriff's office, field services is what we call our road patrol. That exists because the county funds that.
Mm-hmm.
There is no constitutional mandate for the sheriff's office to have a road patrol.
Just the jail, correct?
Just the jail. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And there's a few other ancillary things that I have to do as sheriff or be in charge of. But when it comes to police work, that's not one of them. So there are literally counties in this state that have no road patrol, or maybe they have a day shift, or a half a shift or whatever. So that is not a function that is mandated.
Mm-hmm.
Most municipalities have the ability to, by their charter and how they're set up, have the ability to have their own public safety, whether it's police, fire, or EMS, whatever it is. So that's that. So when you see our cars out there working as general patrol cars, again, that's our folks that the county funds out of general fund. We do have contracts, and the advantage to a contract is that dedicates that municipality those services.
Okay.
Right? So, for example, if we have one 911 center in the county. So if you live in Livingston County and you pick up the phone and call 911, it goes to one place. They dispatch police, fire, EMS, everything, soup to nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a police call and it comes into a area that is what we call unincorporated, in other words, they don't have their own jurisdiction, it works on a closest car concept. So we may get the call, or the state police may get the call, depending on who's closest.
Okay.
Now, I will tell you that, not to go down a rabbit hole, but we're doing about 80% of the call volume in the county, because one of the models that the state police used a number of years ago is they merged the Brighton Post with the Ypsi Post.
Right.
So most of their resources are down in Ypsi. And I will tell you that when I started back in 1990, we had 36 road patrol deputies. Today we have 26, not including contract cars. So if you do the math, 35 years later, we've got 10 less deputies on the street. Okay, we're expensive. I mean, it's just that simple.
Sure.
Right? And the state police is in the same boat. I think they had 36 or 37. So number-wise, they were right there with us. Now I think there's like 20 that run out of the Brighton Post. So our numbers have declined significantly over time. Obviously, the work volume hasn't. So what some of these municipalities have seen in the unincorporated areas is that it's taken way too long for service. We work just like a hospital, and we triage stuff, or 911 does, right? I mean, We're not going to leave somebody laying in the middle of the road bleeding and go to lunch, or go take somebody's report that their mailbox got smashed or whatever, right? So these non-emergency calls start to stack up, and it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Sometimes it's the next day before they're getting service. So some of the agency or some of the municipalities in the county have said that's unacceptable. We've heard from our residents that that's unacceptable, so therefore we are going to contract for those dedicated services. So we currently have a contract with Heartland 7 days a week. We have a contract with Tyrone 7 days a week. We have a contract with Putnam 5 days a week. And then we have some smaller contracts that are just like hours in a month.
Okay.
With Conway, Cohocton, Osceola, There might be one more in there. I forgot.
Genoa, maybe?
And then no, Genoa. I wish they'd get on board. That was my outside voice. And then we have contracts with school districts too for school resource officers. So all of those are contracted services. So what that guarantees is that during those hours that we're being paid to be there, we're there, barring pretty much World War III. I mean, there's an out that we can pull somebody if we absolutely have to, but it is truly an absolute last resort.
It would have to be an emergency or something really big, right?
Exactly. So here's the advantage to a contract versus your own police department. And I'm not talking about disbanding any police departments that are currently there.
No,
please,
I get it.
Please don't misunderstand me.
No.
However,
hold on just a second. I'm a little concerned because I'm looking at what starts off with a bazillion comments and we haven't gotten one. So sometimes for you viewers, sometimes you put comments in the comment section depending on where you're watching it from and it doesn't show up. I highlight just about every single comment that I see. So if you're putting comments here and I didn't highlight it, highlight it means like this. Okay, that means I'm not getting it. You might want, if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching another channel, go to the Facebook, Livingston County Republican Party on Facebook, and watch it from there, and almost always the comments come through. All right, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I want those comments to come in for you. So
only the positive ones. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, if you're writing something stupid,
if you're writing something
bad,
just stay home, whatever. No, on a serious note. So the advantage to municipality in that contract is that's dedicated service to that to that particular area, right? We are your police.
Right.
So although they fall under the sheriff's authority, we work very, very well with that municipality to say, okay, what are your issues with the residents? What are your concerns? We'll address that and we do that accordingly. So, and the other advantage to that is the formula that we've adopted is 75% of true costs. So when we quote a contract, we take all of our figures from bullets on up to patrol cars to computers to you name it, wages, salaries, that whole thing, training, holiday time, sick time, all that stuff. We take that all into consideration. We come up with a number and then we back that off 25%, and that's what's billed. So it's a cost savings to the municipality. The other advantage to a contract too is there's an end to it if they want to, right? Not only is there an out clause built into the contract, but there's also at the end of a contract, if they just don't want to renew, they don't renew. And what happens then is they're done writing checks, right? So for example, XYZ PD, if Unknown Township decided to start their own XYZ PD, and they did that for 15, 20 years, you are going to see a significant number of costs that start adding up.
Sure.
That are legacy
retirement
costs.
And all that stuff. Right.
Exactly. And the other side of the coin too is, we're large enough where we can absorb some of those normal things, i.e. FMLA, i.e. Oh crap, we had a officer total a car last night because they hit a deer. We don't have any extra cars.
That's right.
Well,
it's not like you're buying a new building for it. You're paying the same, just about electricity, the same, whatever. All that fixed cost then gets spread even thinner. So yes.
So frankly, it doesn't make sense. Now again, that's not a bid to take anybody over or anything. And I'll dive into those politics just a little bit.
Sure.
So we were in the course of my 35 years with the sheriff's office, we have submitted bids on other police departments. When we were approached by the city, village, or township to say, hey, what would it cost to hire you guys if we didn't have our own police department? Not going to do it. Ain't playing it. We've been burned way too many times with it. And all that does is that erodes that working relationship that we have with all public safety.
Right.
So we just don't do it anymore. Our contract costs are our contract costs. All they got to do is call some of the municipalities and say, hey, what are you paying? There's the number. So there's no negotiation. We're not going to be used as a pawn, basically.
Right,
And what we
right.
saw happen.
I can tell what happened. They were threatening that to right. Was it coincidentally around a union contract?
Yeah, it was
bargaining
coincidentally
time?
around
Coincidentally,
union negotiations.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Go figure, right? And that's been historically the issue.
Yep.
So, my promise is simply this: if there's a municipality that does that, wants to do that, or whatever, you take care of your own stuff. You do what you got to do. And if you wake up one day and there's no police department down there, we'll do the best to cover it, and the residents are going to be taken care of. That's been my promise as sheriff, since day one. We'll do the best we can with the resources that we've got. But that's kind of the behind the scenes with contracting. I would vehemently oppose anybody that was thinking about starting their own police agency, whether it was a township, city, village, whatever, because it just makes more sense. One of the other things that is unique about, and it's not an empire build for us, as I pointed out, it's actually a loss. It's a 25% revenue loss for us and for the county to do that. But what we gain there is more cohesion,
right.
And less fiefdoms, I guess, if you will. And one of the other benefits that we have in this county is we are all, with the exception of state police because they're their own thing, but we are all on one record management system, right? So our supervisors can go in and they can say, hey, we've had contact with Deb Drick, twice or whatever. But they can go in there and look and go, oh, well, she must frequent Pinckney Village too, because Pinckney's had contact with her 6 times or whatever, right? And we can go in there and see what those contacts are. So, and they can do the same. They can say, oh, the sheriff's department's had contact with so and so, so many times. So it helps in the whole overall policing, if you will, and knowledge base that our men and women have to make decisions when they're investigating crimes or trying to figure out different things. So it's a good system. That falls in the category if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's the 10,000 foot version on
to nuts,
contract.
They call it. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's good to know because there's been talk over the years. I remember one of those instances you're referring to was Howell when they were actually talking about doing that, and I see it even now when they're talking about spending money or Howell having to make layoffs or whatever else. And of course, one of the first things the conservative residents eliminate your police department and hire the sheriff department. You're going to save money, but and I wondered about how that would affect the working relationships, and that would probably put a big hamper on it. So
yeah, it's not real good. But I will also tell you this. So going way back in history, there was a municipality who will remain nameless, but a pretty good size agency that we did a 5-year plan for, and it was going to save about $3 million over 5 years. With our plan, and they opted to stay with their own police department. So that should tell you what local control is all about as well, right? For those municipalities. So I mean, it's a pride thing. I get it, right? To see your name on the police department.
Yep.
Totally get it. So again, not advocating for disbanding, any local police departments or anything like that, but
it does make sense to if they need some supplemental work.
It'd be absolutely asinine to start your own police department in today's day and age.
Right. Okay.
In not just our county,
right.
in any county. I mean,
no.
Just be stupid.
No, that's a lot of money that could, go elsewhere. As Republicans, that's what we believe in, that savings of money. Okay, so those are my questions. What else you got?
I just had a couple things. We talked about accreditation earlier. There is a move, and this is still like in the embryo stages, if you will, to work on an accreditation for the jail side of the house. So we think what that's going to look like is MSA obviously would take the lead role on that. Along with probably the group that worked on setting up the accreditation with the Michigan Chiefs of Police that went to New Jersey, that whole group, to see what we can't do about coming up with standards in the jail setting. So one of the interesting things in the sheriff world is, believe it or not, the Department of Corrections, we take direction from them as they do our inspections. And one of the things that they can do is they can promulgate rules to tell us how to run our business, which I think is hysterical because they can't even run their own shop, but yet they're trying to tell us how to run ours. So, and just like on the field services side of the house, every jail is so different in every county. The clientele is different. The physical makeup of the plant is different. Where the courts are. I mean, it's just you got well, we don't have 83 jails. I think we've got 81. But out of all the count, they're just so different. So anyways, my point is this, and I'll bang on Department of Corrections for half a second. So
okay.
The inspections that they come in and do, they look at our policies, they look at our medical, they look at our fire and evacuation procedures and stuff, everything that should be up to date and we should be complying with, right? And then, of course, they look at and the systems that the inmates have to be able to file grievances, and the list goes on, the stuff that they look at. So they come in and spend a day or two, and then they give us a report back. And the report back is a pass-fail. It's not, hey, you got 90%, here's some things to work on, but nice job. It's 100%
thumbs up or down.
100% pass-fail.
Right.
So we have, for a number of years, I think about 5 years running, we were pass. And then for about the last 5, I think, it's all been failed. And every failing year, it's always the same issue, and it has to do with our use of force policy. And we've got a guy that has done our last 5 inspections, and he is hung up on the promulgated rule that the agencies at jails should only use force as an absolute last resort. Now, if you hear that, you go, well, yeah, of course, we don't want to be beating up the inmates and stuff, right? That doesn't make any sense. Of course not. However, in our world, force is anything other than a verbal compliant gesture, right? So in other words, if I've got somebody that's walking down the hall and they decide that they're going to do a sit-in and they just plop down in the middle of the hall, according to the Department of Corrections, we can't lay hands on them because that's force. So we can't pick them up and go put them in their cell. How does that make sense? You're disrupting the whole, right? How does it make sense that if you go to handcuff somebody or you're escorting somebody to court or whatever the circumstances are and they pull away or, take a swing, that we can't use force because maybe it wasn't an absolute last resort? So it gets better. So I said, if you want us to put in there that we will only use force as an absolute last resort in a deadly force situation, absolutely, totally good with that. Nope, we're not going to settle for that. So again, I reached out to my friends at the state, and I said, hey, Michigan Department of Corrections, what's your policy on use of force? So I get their use of force policy. Coincidentally, it's pretty damn similar to ours. A couple commas here and there, a couple words, whatever, but it's pretty similar. I said, I'll tell you what, I will adopt your use of force policy. Would that satisfy you? No, that's not going to satisfy us. Next obvious question. Well, why would that be? And my answer back was, jails are different than prisons. Honest, true story. Jails are different than prisons.
Other than length
I don't know if I can swear on this, but no shit. But everybody that's in prison started in a jail, right? That's how our system works, number one. And number two, it's a correctional setting. Inmates are inmates. It doesn't matter what facility they're in. An inmate's an inmate. So when I got that response back from them, I basically said, then we're going to fail every time. I'm not going to change my policy. I don't know what to tell you because I did this way too many times.
Right.
And I'm not real smart, but I'm smart enough to know that wasn't going to win that battle. So anyways, coming full circle, the ultimate goal would be to get an accreditation process in place, and then maybe somebody will be a state senator at some point, and maybe they can work on getting rid of the Department of Corrections and have the accreditation body oversee jail inspections, and maybe things would be a little bit better. So
I want to veer off for a minute. If when you attend the monthly Republican meetings, I always start off the second part of the meeting after the executive committee votes, and we can do it down. I always start off with something called the chair's perspective, and we talk about, to get the process from the bill, we talk about what is a lobbyist, we talk about all kinds of things. But one of the things we talked about was, where do legislators get their ideas? And I always say it comes in a couple different stages. First stage is they take their own experiences and their own frustrations, and they come forward and say, now, these are the laws I'm going to make. Then after that, they might come from outside stakeholders, meaning lobbyists or associations, or the next one is constituents also do it. So that's an example of what I was saying, that the legislators often take their own experiences and frustrations and turning those into bills. Okay, carry on. That was it.
That was pretty much it on that one. I just, there's things at the state level that just make absolutely no sense. And one of my things that I've every time I've got in front of a group, I've said this, there's just too much state overreach and too much state control, I guess, if you will. I'm a firm believer, and I thank God for being the sheriff in this county, and I thank God every day for the men and women that I have in my office, but I also give them the ability to make decisions, right? I'm not a micromanager. Here's the curbs. Stay within the curbs, dude, and you're good, right? And the employees enjoy that because they have some freedom to use discretion, and there's trust there because they have that freedom. Everything should be taken care of at the lowest possible level, and that is no different with state government. The state government should not be telling local municipalities and counties how to run their shop. And there's so many examples I have of that that's just ludicrous. Because, as you mentioned, one of the constituents chirps in a senator or representative's ear, and well, we need a law that probably not. Right. Probably not. It can probably be handled at the township level or the village level or the city level or the county level. Right. Probably does not need to cover the whole state of Michigan. But anyways, I kind of digress there for a minute. But that's where we're going with the. I hope to go anyways with the jail accreditation.
So you got a couple of different things you're going to work on there. So well, here, Melissa. Hello, Melissa. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanking you for everything you do, and we all thank you for everything you do. You do a great job. But that's so I have here a couple questions about the jail. You brought up jail, so that brought up more questions. First of all, how many beds are in your jail?
So we have 411 beds. However, we run about 300. And about 200 of them, the population changes daily. And frankly, it can change hourly. Right. But about 200 of that 300 are local inmates. Okay. And then we have two contracts. So we have contracts. We have contracts with the feds, the Marshal Service, and we have a contract currently that just started back in March with Macomb County. Macomb County is doing a big project renovation over there, and they can't do that with their inmates. So
that crosses off number 2 question.
Yeah, so they ship us some inmates. We charge them a very fair price to do that, to stay in our facility and watch them, whatever. And then, and they're responsible for all the transport and all that stuff. On the Fed side of the house, the Macomb contract is about $30,000 a year, or I'm sorry, $30,000 a month. The federal contract is about $2 million a year. So if you think about the system, I mentioned earlier that everybody starts out, when you get arrested, everything starts at the county level, right? Yeah. So at the Fed level, they have federal penitentiaries, but what they do not have is they do not have pre-detention facilities. So which would be the equivalent of a county jail, right? So what happens is the feds have contracts with everybody in the United States. So when somebody's arrested, they go to one of these county jails and they're being paid contract. If their case goes to fruition and they're found not guilty, they're released. If the case goes to fruition and they're found guilty or plead guilty and they get sent to prison, then they would go to a federal penitentiary, right? So we serve as one of the holding cell basically for federal inmates. And like I said, it's about $2 million a year. So interestingly, we've gotten quite a bit of, I don't want to say pressure, but there's been some questions about how come with a a 411 bed facility and you only got 300 people, why not enter into a contract with ICE and get some immigrants as well? So the short story there is, believe it or not, because of federal law, if you are detained and arrested as an immigrant, illegal or whatever, you have more rights than an American citizen.
Oh my goodness.
And you have to play by a whole nother set of rules.
Right.
And the feds come in and do what the MDOC does, and they do inspections anyways, but they are on you about quarterly.
Okay.
And I said, as long as I'm sheriff, I'm not going to have two separate rules. If you're a inmate in my jail, these are the rules.
Okay.
I don't care if you're a Livingston County resident. I don't care if you're Ottawa County resident.
Right.
I don't care if you're a Fed inmate. An
These
inmate's
are
an
the rules,
inmate.
right.
These are the rules, right? It just makes it much easier
sure.
on the inmates, but it also makes it much easier on the staff. So one more point I want to make on the facility. So it sounds like, holy crap, you get roughly 111 beds empty. Isn't that kind of a waste of space? No, it's really not. It's a great problem to have, and it's really not a problem. And here's why. If you think about how a jail is the ultimate in logistics, okay? It really is. We can't mix sexes, right? And then there's also classifications. So we have minimum, medium, and maximum. We can't mix classifications.
That's right.
So you've already taken out sexes, and then you've got 3 classifications in each sex. Then, furthermore, you have some that, and we have a frequent flyer that's a transitioner that obviously has to be segregated because they don't fall into any of those categories, right? And then, for example, you and I commit a crime together, and let's say we're the same sex, and we would normally be housed together if we weren't co-defendants, but because we're co-defendants, we have to be separated as well. So there's a whole logistical thing, and then you add in the fact that oh, by the way, George has TB, or oh, by the way, Susie has AIDS, or oh, by the way, so and so's got a broken leg and has to have crutches. It's just it's a small city in and of itself that's a very complex operation.
And it's worse, it's revolving.
Yes, and it's always changing, right?
Yes.
So the average length of stay in our jail is about 2 weeks. So if you think about that, we book and release about 5,000 inmates a year, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you do the math, you can see that a lot of our inmates are, overnighters, 1 or 2 dayers, with that many, 5,000, right? But then you've also got to make that 2 week an average stay. You've kind of got that real lower end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, but then you've got that higher end of 6 months, 9 months a year.
Right.
So it's a very dynamic population. But and then one last thing on the jail the bedding, and I'll shut up. But
you're not shut up. I got questions.
All right. The new facility, frankly, couldn't have came at a better time, because when COVID hit, we were, I think, I could be wrong on this, I was wrong once before, but I think only once, where we were the last jail in the state of Michigan to have COVID enter the jail. And the reason was because and I'm pretty sure one of my deputies brought it in, but whatever.
But I digress.
Yeah, but I digress again. But because of the layout of the facility, and because we had extra beds, we were able to do a lot better with segregation than most facilities were. So speaking of COVID, I'll digress just a little bit more.
Keep going.
This is here's an interesting tidbit for you.
This digression. I'm sorry. It's more
I know,
interesting.
I'm on a roll now.
It's more interesting than the stuff you brought.
The cup of coffee I drank before I got is just starting to kick in now.
That's all right.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Let's keep
Give
going.
me another Monster. I'm good for 4 more hours. I was kidding. So, anyways, an interesting tidbit on COVID. So there's an inmate, Fed inmate. If you remember, when COVID first hit, there was a cry from some folks in the world that said, "Oh my gosh, it's going to be a killing field. Everybody in jail is going to die because somebody's going to get COVID, and they're all locked up together, and it's going to be it's like a nursing home. They're all going to die." Our response to that was, listen, this is our business. We've got medical staff. We will take care of it, just like we take care of any other ailment that comes in there. There was a federal inmate that convinced his attorney to take his case to the judge and argued that and said his bond should be lowered because he might catch COVID and die.
Okay.
Okay. So the judge bought into that. His bond was lowered. He posted bond, and within a week, he died by a gunshot wound because he went back to his old gangbanging ways. So he didn't die of COVID, he died of lead poisoning.
Wow.
Right? Go figure.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, when it comes to I'm going to go back to your contract for a minute. When it comes to the contract with the Fed, you said you had a number amount of, Macomb, do you get paid, like, is it like a per inmate per day, or so? Okay.
Yep.
And so, all right.
Per inmate per day, and then they also, unlike Macomb's responsible for their own transport. So if they've got inmate that has to go to court or whatever, they take care of that.
Okay.
For us, we do the federal transports. So let's say that an inmate's got a court case in Ann Arbor, Flint, wherever. We literally do that, but yet we get paid to do that in addition to the daily amount.
Okay.
So.
Does that now when you were talking about contracting your police officers and you were eating a little bit 25% discount, do you discount that kind of thing too, or do you make money?
Yeah, we make money on that.
Okay.
So,
all right. Good.
So let me here's the easiest way that I can explain that. You've got a 4-bedroom house, and you have it's you and your spouse and one kid. Okay. Gas, electric, food, all the utilities, all the bills that you think of, let's just say it's $2,000 a month, right? I don't know, whatever. So you take that, and then you have another child, okay? Aside from diapers and all that stuff, the amount,
fixed cost.
Yeah, the amount of cost for that one additional body is negligible. I mean, 10 cents worth of water a day,
right.
10 cents worth of electricity, whatever. Our meal costs, we're feeding our inmates for $5 a day, believe it or not, 3 meals. I mean, how can you do that, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, it's run as efficiently as possible. So we do make money on those contracts. Yes.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering, which is good. Good Republican that you are. I was hoping you would say that. So back when, I'm glad you brought up meals. It reminded me. Back when Mike and I, for those of you who do not know, Mike and I, for about 1,100 years, co-ran a program for Leadership Livingston. It was the justice system, and Mike walked everybody through the policing section of the county, and I walked people through the judicial systems. And it was great. It was the best partnership I ever had, because I'd say, "You ready? You ready? Yeah, we're done." That was our planning stages. We did the same thing all the time. And Mike used to bring over we wouldn't tell anybody. We would have people ready for lunch, and Mike would have the guys bring over the big rubber trays, and they would eat whatever the inmates were eating. And it was not supposed to be rated well. It was supposed to make you think you're hungry. You can't run to McDonald's. Nobody can make you a sandwich. This is it. And I remember the mystery meat sandwiches and the mystery mush. And you said something about every meal is made with turkey. And people forgot the lessons of the day, but they will never forget that. Tell people why every meal is made with turkey.
So we have to comply with dietetic needs as well, right? Folks that are diabetic and, allergic and blah, blah, blah. But for turkey, there is no legitimate religious reason why you can't eat turkey. So if it looks like a hamburger, it's turkey. If it looks like a hot dog, it's turkey. If it looks like ham, it's turkey.
Okay.
Right? So it's all
okay.
turkey.
I just found that fascinating. So we got some questions here I want to get to. So Ron here wants to know about how do you go about changing the rules so illegals are treated like other inmates? It's not right they get treated better.
Couldn't agree with you more, Ron, and that's a call to John James or Tom Barrett or whoever.
It's a federal issue, right?
Yeah, it's a federal issue.
It's federal.
I got nothing on that one.
Yep, can't do anything. Yeah, it has nothing to do with us. So,
No.
All right, Mark, Wayne County says, thank you for sharing the experience with COVID. It was a big deal. You're right. And in comes Janine Gogoleski. Hello, Janine. Good to see you. So if you make money, where does it go? She wants to know if it goes back to servicing the jail.
No, it goes in my pocket, Janine. Come on, let's not get crazy here. The sheriff gets a bonus on that. Hello?
Percentage cut.
No, yeah, percentage bonus. No, seriously. So our our pot of money is doled out to us by the county commission through the budget process. I mean, we are what's called a general funded county entity, and the commission, along with finance at the county, will be the first ones to tell you that we are the most expensive, and I'll be the first ones to tell them that we're worth it. So there's no question. I mean, we're expensive. It costs me about give or take, about $200,000 to put a deputy in a uniform out on the road. I mean, when you figure wages, fringes, cars, computers, backbone, that whole thing. So anyways, we're given a chunk of revenue, and then anything that we take in, i.e. our contracts with the feds and some other ancillary stuff that we get funds for, that just goes to offset that general fund pot of money.
So it goes into the county general fund in the end. Good. That's a good plan. Speaking of your county commission, we have your chair on here who wants to know who were the 3 most well-known guests at the Murphy Marriott.
You know what? That's a good question. Most recently, I would say that Jewel Jones comes to mind.
Yeah.
Prior to that, probably,
holla.
Probably
everything he did. Hashtag holla.
Oh boy. Probably, we were happy to get rid of him, by the way. Actually, I wish he would have spent a little more time.
He
with
was
us,
hysterical, though.
I digress again.
That's all right.
Probably Judge Brennan.
Was
stayed a minute or two at the Murphy Marriott. So. Outside of Livingston County, sheriffs work very, very well together. So, unfortunately, when my previous undersheriff got arrested, he didn't come to our jail, right?
Right.
We made a phone call.
That's right.
Hey, sheriff, I need a favor. Okay, no problem. So that was the case with Judge Brennan as well. Hey, this is really not going to be a good thing. I called Sheriff Clayton down in Washtenaw. Hey, Sheriff, I need a favor. Can you house one for us? So we do that on a pretty regular basis.
Sure. But the last thing you want is your own officer in your own jail, because he could have been the one to arrest. That would have been a bad.
Local cops,
that's right. Bad.
The whole thing. So, anyways, I would say that that would be a person noteworthy. Probably going back in history more so, probably Sean Moore would be. Or not Sean Moore.
No, Sean Moore was the
Bailey.
victim.
Yeah,
Bailey.
Sean Moore was the victim. Ron Bailey.
Ron Bailey,
who killed Sean Moore. That goes back a long time.
Didn't you have one of the Temptations in there? Didn't you have David Ruffin?
You know that? I don't know.
I remember Jim Buttrey will tell you that he walked into court and there was David Ruffin.
Very possible.
And Jim walked in and he goes, "That's a town! That's a town!" So anyway, I thought he got picked up. But anyway, all right, we got one last question here. Speaking of money, this is a good question. Does the sheriff department make any dollars from traffic citations? Thank you, Don, for asking that question.
Thank you, Don, for making that. And I get that call. Sheriff,
Yeah.
put a car in my driveway. You can make your budget in a week. And by the way, the 2 most common complaints that we receive at the sheriff's office is, 1, people drive crazy. There's too many speeders on the road.
Right.
And then followed quickly by, you write too many tickets. Not sure how that can work, but whatever.
Okay.
So to answer your question, no. So we write everything under state code. So to keep the math somewhat simple for a dumb cop, if we write you a ticket for $100, the formula's changed a little bit, so there's some very, very small percentages, but 33% goes to the local library, believe it or not. 33% goes to the district court of the county, and 33% goes to the statewide judges retirement fund.
I was unaware of the division. I knew that they went to the judges retirement.
Yeah, that's the division. Now, there's everything in my world is a but, right? Here's the deal, but. So, but if you are a local municipality, you have the ability to write under what's called a local ordinance, which you can adopt basically the motor vehicle code. So all the laws are the same, but you do it under a local ordinance, and you can take that 33% that would typically go to the county court, the county district court. Thank you, brain fart. That would then go to that local municipality. So
Tyler, can you get him another monster, please?
Yeah, give me another monster. So, for example, Brighton City writes a ticket under local ordinance. 33% of that $100 would go to Brighton City coffers.
Okay.
So that's how those dollars are.
Okay.
One last thing, but there's $5 before that $100
Okay.
that's taken right off the top,
All right.
that goes into this big pot of money at the state level, and they total that up at the end of the year, and we report not just sheriff's office, every municipality reports back to the state how many certified police officers they have. They divide that by that pot of money, and then those agencies get money that's specifically earmarked for training. So let's say, for example, we get back $10,000. It's got to be used for training.
Not a bad deal.
But no, it's not a revenue generator.
No.
It doesn't go to my retirement
Well,
fund
wouldn't that be
or
nice?
bonus, whatever.
Ron wants to know how you feel about people using their cell phone while driving.
I hate it.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I hate it.
That's gotta be the reason for how many accidents.
Everybody was good for about 2 seconds, right, when the law took effect,
Yeah.
but now you see it all the time. And frankly, even worse, I'll be honest with you, people just
Texting is even worse. Jeez.
people just can't drive. No. They just can't drive. It really doesn't matter.
Even if they are watching
it doesn't matter if they're texting. It doesn't matter if they're on their phone. They can get caught up in a music. Listen, be honest with me for a minute.
Oh,
I'm telling you, I've been there. So
radar low plays and I'm moving.
I'm singing along and I'm thinking about whatever it is, and I have no idea that I just went 4 miles.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
We are terrible drivers and terrible at paying attention, and yet we're pushing around a 4,000-pound missile.
Right. Yep.
Gotta pay attention.
I love that. Well, and I'll tell you what's been helpful. I think what saved probably 1 million lives is the fact that cars now have the Bluetooth. Yeah, that is nice. I mean, I remember back in 15, I think I got my first car that did that, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have to touch anything. I can just tell them what to do.
It's very cool, and I appreciate the law that was passed because you're not doing this.
Yes.
However, you are still concentrating on the conversation, right? So your mind is distracted.
Yeah, the only
you
thing
may
it
not
gives
think
you is
about
2 hands on the wheel, but if you're not there, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're gonna end this. I got Pastor Bill Bolin in the wings right now, and he's got some fun stuff to talk about here. So, thanks again, Mike, for showing up and helping us out here. It's going to be a terrific. I always love when you come on here. You give us such good information. Like I said, I like your rabbit holes. I do the plan stuff, so it's just fine with me. We can digress all we want, but anyway. So thanks for coming, and we will be right back with Pastor Bolin. Don't go away.
Why should you join the Livingston County Republican Party?
Why, you ask?
Yeah, why?
Why join?
The Republican Party is the party of common sense.
Common sense.
Republicans support the Constitution.
Republicans protect your rights.
We fight to keep your children safe.
We fight to keep boys and men out of girls and women's sports.
We fight to keep boys out of girls' restrooms.
We fight for you.
What does the Republican Party do?
We help Republican candidates get elected.
Why is it important to elect Republicans?
Why is that important?
Why?
Tell me, why is that important?
Livingston County is one of the safest counties in Michigan.
Livingston County has one of the lowest crime rates in the state of Michigan.
Livingston County has the lowest tax millage rate of all 83 counties.
Republicans work to balance the budget.
Republican legislators vote against raising your taxes.
Republican elected officials believe in transparency.
Republican clerks run elections with integrity.
Republican trustees protect your rights.
Republicans support our veterans.
Who can join?
If you are conservative, we want you in our party.
All conservatives are welcome at our table.
Join our activities.
Join the fun.
Become a member.
Join us now.
Hi, I'm Deb Drick, chair of the Livingston County Republican Party. Our conservative message has been very well received in Livingston County, and I'm so happy to share with you that people are stepping up right and left to help. The only thing's missing is you. Come join our mission. Come join our fun. Go to livingstonrepublicans.com and click join. You'll be glad you did.
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ.
Hello again, and we're back, and this time we have the wonderful and the right now the world-renowned Pastor Bill Bolin with us. You are infamous, yes, the infamous Bill Bolin, who is here. He is he's the pastor at Floodgate Church in Howell, kind of on that 2359. I don't know why they say it's Howell. It's always Heartland to the rest of the world, but yeah, okay. Yes. So anyway, but he's the pastor there, and he has had a little bit of fun lately over some books. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff to back up what he has to say. So if you're just tuning in, don't go away. This is an interesting story. So welcome, Pastor Bolin. I'm glad you joined us. And if you don't mind, start us at the beginning. You ran for the Crow-Main Library, which at the time was, the board was very, very liberal, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Last year, I ran for a position, and I won in November.
All right.
And as a matter of fact, I was on the ticket on the opposite side of Donald Trump. And what was beautiful about it was he gave me a call afterwards and thanked me for letting him ride my coattails to his victory.
He did? Trump did?
Just kidding.
Oh, God Almighty. All right.
I like to tell really bad jokes.
Yeah, all right. All right. So now that we got that over with.
So in November, I won my election.
Yes.
And I became a Crow-Main Library board member or trustee. And in the midst of that, as a pastor, something pastors normally don't do is run for office. I did, and I won.
Okay.
And after I wound up winning the election, after going through the different procedures of learning my position, I was elected by my peers to be the president.
Okay.
And I wound up getting embroiled or entering into a discussion that had been going on for a number of years. The conservatives on the library board had wanted to make some policy revisions and changes, and they'd been blocked at every point up until...
What was the split conservative liberal before you?
They had the split liberal conservative. It was at one point it was 4-3, at another point it was 5-2. It's always been liberal, or at least for many years.
All right.
Yes, the liberals
so
have
the
controlled
conservatives
the
were in the minority before you
They
came
were.
along. Okay.
And they're no longer in the minority. We have a 5-2 majority. And based upon the conversations, there was a desire to label books and to put warnings for parents to be able to see what their kids are reading, and to have just one added measure to give them an informed ability to decide. And some people have looked at it as being akin to the rating system for movies and things of this nature.
Sure.
So that you know what to protect your kids from. And that's really what it came down to. And when I was elected as a president, I wound up in the middle of all this and have been able to guide the board to what I hope to be a good conclusion on the policy revision as we have revised the policy.
And regular watchers will remember several months ago we had Commissioner Nakagiri from that area, from the Heartland area, came and talked about that. My husband and I both went to the meeting where they first introduced this, and regular watchers will recall we talked about with Commissioner Nakagiri, we talked about the arguments against this. And if I just want to be specific, the proposal was to put labels on books that were sexually graphic in nature, just so parents knew, or kids, young kids, etc. To just label them. They weren't being banned. They weren't being burned. They weren't, none of that stuff. You weren't mandating anything. You were just labeling. Was that correct? The arguments that we heard, here's how it went. Well, I'm gay and I can't, and now I don't feel safe. How does that threaten gayness? I don't, all they want to do is label sexual activity. Well, you're trying to tell me you're trying to take away my right as a parent to allow my children to read. No, we're just going to label it so you know what your children are reading. Then the next, what other arguments were there? I don't feel safe now. Why don't you feel safe? We're just labeling it. There's no threat here. And these and in the end, it's like, well, you're just homophobes. How does homophobic behavior come into labeling section? It's not like you're only labeling LGBTQT, or what is that? LGBTQ. You're not labeling one specific. It's anything sexual, right? Any sex, straight sex, gay sex, any of that sex. It's just going to be labeled as that.
And
so,
violent.
yeah. So it's exactly. So it wasn't any of those things. It was just these horrible, stupid arguments just to fight it. And I don't understand why. But anyway, that's where we were. You remember we talked about that. So fast forward, you've now made the policy, correct? That you've now voted in the policy. Back then it was still being talked about, but now it's been voted in.
It has been voted in.
Okay,
as
good.
of June.
Okay,
yes.
As of June. Okay, good. So, and you've had some protests.
We have. There are some citizens within our region that have decided to mix my position as a pastor and my position as a Cro-Main Library board member, and kind of merging the two together, and are protesting at our church, which is their right to do, as long as they do it within the bounds of what Michigan state law allows.
Right. So they're protesting your church, and if I remember
they're protesting me.
Yes, they're protesting you at your
But I
church,
happen to
though,
be-
about what's going on in the library.
Yes, that's right.
And I saw the picture and I could not believe it. But is one of the protest? They have some objects they brought with them in addition to signs saying that basically you're the devil or whatever it is that it says. But they actually put in a 4-foot inflatable penis as part of in front of a church that was in session on a Sunday where families go in and out. So this is run by, you'll catch the irony here, a group called SAGE, which stands for Stand Against Extremism. So a little ironic that they're bringing a penis to make these points, but okay, by all means, don't be extreme on anything. So today, WHMI did an article, and they talked about, and their article was about SAGE, and what SAGE was claiming. They're having a community forum, and it's going to be how to work together to stop the extremism that, is this the one I want right here? No. Sherry, right there. Let's share this window. Hang on, I got to share this and then we'll bring it up. I have the share screen. There it is. I want Word. Where's Word? I don't see it.
The joy of technology.
Oh, this is it. This is it. This is it right here. So this is what it was. Yeah, Zoe, we have it. I do this and it works sometimes. So hold on. So they brought up their article, and I did have it saved here, and I don't know why it's not being saved. But let's try and get new tab, mail. It's not mail. I don't want mail.
Many of the members of SAGE have come to our library board meetings to protest what
Yes.
we're doing. And one of their statements, like I spoke with one of the members, not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before, saying that what you're doing always leads to banning of books. And the reality is we are not banning books. We've never banned books. We won't ban books. We believe in the Constitution. The
Sure.
Constitution doesn't allow us to do
Right.
that. We're not book banners.
Okay, let me go here. I got this now. I just got to go up to the first page.
There
Here
you
we go. That was a problem. Okay, now here's the community forum is defending. There we go. Defending the right to right to read. I think that's their thing. The SAGE is having a book. Now I'm going to bring this up so I can read the darn thing. Here we go. So first of all, and I highlighted some key points there, that they're saying Floodgate Church is drawing attention to harmful policy changes that Floodgate pastor and Crow-Main Library President Bill Bolin has allegedly drafted with lawyers from Project 2025's advisory board. Are you drafting terrible policy with lawyers from the Project 2020 advisory board?
Well, no, it's not terrible policy. It's good policy.
Or what's the policy you're drafting with them?
The policy that we drafted was the ability to put labels on books.
Okay.
Additional labels, because the library has many books that are labeled already.
Sure.
And then the secondary thing is we gave the public has the right, a patron has the right to challenge a book's inclusion in the library.
Okay.
There is a policy for that, but it was not clearly defined on what to do and how to do it. And what we did is we clarified that policy.
Okay.
And the board has the right, if a patron does not like the disposition of a challenge, such as if the head librarian, the director, decides that she does not think the challenge is meritorious. Previously, nothing would ever come of it. What we did is we enacted a policy that allows a book challenge that the patron does not like, again, how it turns out, they can appeal to the board.
Okay.
And the board can then determine whether or not the challenge is to be upheld.
Okay.
And in which case the board can determine, as we're still drafting some of the policy, it's not fully articulated yet, there is that the board can move the book out of the area where it's at and moving it into a different section.
Okay, so if there's something that's more of adult contact and it's in a child thing, and parent of child Susie comes and tells the librarian this book is inappropriate in children's section, should be an adult, and librarian says nope, it's going to stay where it is. The parent then can come to the board and say,
or patron.
I'm just saying, if somebody comes and says this book doesn't belong here, and so then there's like a hearing, we'll say, on it. But you, if I'm understanding correctly, that you went further and made another policy that specifically states the board cannot remove a book.
That's right.
Okay.
Previously, there was a policy in place that if a book was challenged, there were only two options for a disposition.
Okay.
One was the books had to be removed from the library if the board determined that was the outcome.
Okay.
Or they simply stayed. Well, we saw that wasn't a reasonable policy simply because we would be violating the First Amendment of the Constitution if we remove books from the library.
Okay.
So we removed that language.
Okay.
The board does not have the right to ban a book or remove a book from the library.
Which is really interesting because let me go back to I got to go back to the.
Right, as you go back.
I got to go back to the actual document and then go down.
We tried to do common sense, common sense approach to a touchy subject, a touchy matter.
Okay, so we have here, going back to here and bringing this once again up. Here we say that Sage states that since your slate overthrew the Crow-Main Library election, hundreds of books are now in the process of potentially being purged. Are any books in the process of being purged at the library?
Only by the head librarian, the director. She is the only one, or as far as I know, she's responsible for the curation of the collection. She does periodically remove books in every section.
Okay.
That based upon whether it's the amount of times the book is checked out or various other things that she may determine that it's no longer needed in the library, and she will remove it. But the board
has nothing to do with that.
The board has nothing to do with curation.
Okay, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So yes, because
that's not our job.
Right. Here is another effectively what your policies will ban books, and you have no policies that ban books, correct?
No, we do not. No, as a matter of fact, the language that was there that could have led to that, we removed.
We removed that, so
deliberately.
That you reassured or you re-strengthened, or what's the word?
We refortified.
Refortified
Yes.
the language to assure that neither you nor any other future board under these policies could ban a book.
Right, minus
okay.
the Supreme Court
Right,
changing precedents in
right,
which
right.
I don't
Right.
see them doing
But
that.
as it stands right now, you or any other board under these policies, you've removed the ability in any sense to ban a book.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here we go. Now we have, but what you have done is you have done materials that are appropriate for adults or older teens.
Or for
Right.
parental concerns.
Right,
and,
shall be
and
shelved
education.
within the adult,
Right.
within the adult thing.
They
Okay.
can be moved into an adult section, but they are
Right.
not kept behind glass. They're not kept behind the desk. They're on the library floor.
Okay.
So it's just common sense. That's what we've done.
This
What,
is
what I
exactly
believe is
it.
common sense.
It is common sense. Let's go back now. I have to keep this software does not allow me to turn the page. So here we go. So the other policy change, library materials will not be marked to identify, to show approval or disapproval of contents. That is huge because that's not what SAGE is telling people. They are not marked to approve or disapprove. They library materials may be labeled to notify patrons that materials may consider or may contain yes, graphic, violence, or sexually explicit material.
That's it.
Period. That's it. And then here, there's
we
this
do
this
not
val-
identify any group
No.
in that label.
No. So that board, so the board agreed to remove the word removal. Boy, that's a little bit of an oxymoron. They removed removal.
Yeah, we removed
removal for, meaning that you cannot ban books. There it is.
We cannot.
Only the library staff may decide to remove a book, and the board may override decisions on the location or labeling, but cannot force the removal of material.
That's right.
That just threw everything SAGE said right into the old trash can. So let me go back here and
Yeah,
go back to that number one thing.
Again, it's common sense.
You think to some people.
We looked at a policy that was vague and actually constructed in a way that would be unconstitutional, and we changed that, and we made it so that as much as possible we can help all people in our community to access books in a way that is most appropriate.
That's right.
That's all we've done.
And you've given parents or other stakeholders an opportunity to come and say this should not be here.
That's right.
And you can go through a process to do that.
Right, and members of SAGE who are part of our district, they have the right to do that.
Sure.
They could file a protest against books that they don't like.
That's
anyone,
right.
Anyone can do
Anyone
that.
can.
Any library patron.
Okay, so the other thing that they assert, and I've saved this one for last because this is a Lulu, that currently books are being labeled at Crow-Main Library with pink stickers as LGBTQ books, and more will start being sequestered soon. So the sequestered comment, I don't know if they mean adult content going in adult things, but that's not sequestering, that's just appropriately classifying
Right,
it,
so
correct?
sequestering by definition would mean we are limiting access.
Right,
right. We are restricting access. We do not restrict access to any book that is in the curated collection at Crow-Main Library.
Okay. All right. So
they're available to everyone.
So these pink stickers they're labeling they're making that sound like you came along and decided that's it. I want all the LGBTQ books labeled. Actually, now this is where I come into, let's stop sharing this because I'm done with this. Oh, let me get back to my materials here. So I just so happen to have the sticker, by the way, they claim is something. Here's the sticker. This is the sticker that their new policy said. This book may contain sexually explicit material. Crow-Main District Library. There she blows, right there.
What color is it?
It's not pink. So that one's not. So that's the new sticker that this board just did. However, previously to this board, and they've been, you said, liberal for a long time, right?
Many years.
Many years. Okay. Previously to that, this came up. Let me bring it closer so you can see it. This is what Fowlerville does. They label LGBT books. All right. So I just want to show you that. That's Fowlerville. All right. And then, oh, phooey.
Multiple libraries label with
yes, they do.
flags and different things of that nature, books that are of that ilk. We have not done that.
Well, you've got a sticker system, but it's not labeled like that. Let's see, where'd it go?
No, it's not.
Yeah, hang on. So let me show you. I have to get it out somehow. Let me do this. So here, let me add this one. This is something that comes from another. We haven't figured out if this is Fowlerville. We got a lot of pictures from Fowlerville. This is Fowlerville or Brighton or Howell, but this is what they could. Big concerns for little people, and you can see the different colors.
And we do have a big concerns for
yes,
little people
we
section.
do that. We're going to get to that in a
Yes.
second. So you can see it points out, and you could see the Fowlerville book I showed you a second ago that it labeled that. These are common things libraries do.
Right, we want to help patrons.
Right.
And especially parents that are struggling with different issues of how to have a intelligent discussion with their children or making intelligent decisions about what they're facing.
Right.
Which is what a library should do.
Right. So hold on here. Let me get this to the screen. Okay, let me get this to the screen. I know what happened. All right, I'm going to save this really quick. Save as. Here we go. That's good right there. Where is that? Podcast pics? Yeah, save. Okay, so let me bring this up and let me show you. Now you saw what I showed you what Fowlerville's was. Okay, so here, image file. I'm going to show you what Heartland does. I got to find it.
You just passed it.
I did?
Yeah.
Where?
See right up on top.
Oh, there we go. Right here. Oh, see, I had that this whole time. All right.
Yeah.
So, no, that's not Heartland.
No.
Okay, let's try it again. Hang on, let me remove this. Oh, there it is. Add to stage. This is Heartland's. Okay, yeah, you saw that. This is the pink sticker they're talking about that identifies it as, you see how it's, they're using circles and the other library uses stars. Libraries do this, but I want it clear. Did you vote to do this?
No,
that
pre-existed.
There it is. This is not something that the conservative group did. This is something that the liberal leaning
or the staff
staff, yeah, but it was under the liberal leaning board that did this. So I'm telling you, if this was really a issue, if this was really an issue, if this was really what Sage wanted, they would have gone after the other libraries that did this stuff. Fowlerville labels it. Puts a label on it that says LGBT, books, and Heartland doesn't. They just have the big concerns for little people, exactly like the other libraries. That predates Reverend Boland. So it is absolutely atrocious to me that they are hurling these outright lies about it's because he's a Republican. It's not because there's a concern about the library. It's not because he's concerned about kids. It's not because they got to protect this group or that group, because nobody's been threatened. The board has removed themselves from any right to ban books, given 100% control of that to the librarian, correct?
Absolutely.
And all those stickers that they're talking about is somehow they're blaming on you. That's been going on, and it's a common process in libraries. So the colored stickers, Janine, the colored stickers, you're talking, this is the new sticker, correct? That's the new sticker. But are you saying that this board voted on this group, Janine? Or is it the librarian that came up with this? But anyway, the Fowlerville group that does that, they do that now, and it's like nobody's bothering us. But they're targeting him. You've never voted on this. It is what it is. So it is atrocious that this Sage is doing this. Sage is also the group, you'll remember, that falsely lied about Wes Nakagiri about they claimed that he came in as a troublemaker at the Hull Theater, but they were masked and armed, and Wes came in yelling and screaming, which made me laugh because I've known Wes many years and I've never seen the man raise his voice no matter what. So come up with a lie that's believable. So anyway, this is a situation that Sage is just out of their ballpark, out of their thing. They're just doing this because he's conservative. It has nothing to do with.
Am I conservative?
I thought so.
Yes,
you're not out.
No.
You sit on this. You sit on this, and your hair catches on fire if you're liberal. Trust me. I got this place trained. So yes, we've had a conservative blessing on the door. You come through, and your hair turns yellow. So anyway, the situation here with the Sage, they falsely accuse. And here's the most important thing: is the most important thing I can say is that they throw mud at the wall and hope it sticks. And they're saying right now that Pastor Bolin is the one that came in and ordered all these things. A lot of this stuff has been, like I said, it's very common for libraries to put the different labels. But the only thing that they have absolutely voted on was this here, to label. And this was the big bad label that everybody said was going to identify, was going to prove they were homophobic and prove that this was terrible, and that's it. And I showed, some of you will remember when I showed the two paragraphs side by side. They were sexually explicit, both of them. And one of them came from a graphic novel in the Chromane library that any kid could pick up, and the other one came from a Penthouse forum. And nobody here could tell you which one was which. And the thing about the Penthouse forum is it's behind a counter. No kid can get to it. You got to show ID and be 18 to even touch it. So, and yet in the library, it's just a free for all. So it's just not a good thing. So I commend you, Pastor Bolin, and Janine, and any other board member that is voting to support these policy changes that aren't restrictive. They're just informational or informative. And I applaud, and I believe right now you have a 5-2 conservative majority, correct?
We do.
And yet your vote was what?
It was 6-1.
6-1. So that means somebody held out, but the other one agreed. So, this is just about being a parent.
Right. Again, this is common sense, what we put in place. We're not trying to harm anyone. We're trying to help.
Yes.
And we're just clarifying things to help parents be able to make informed decisions. Right. And if there are books that are extremely graphic with illustrations or things of that nature,
that's right,
we're putting them in a more appropriate place where parents have the capacity of guiding their children toward the reading material and what they need to utilize in having an intelligent discussion about sexuality, about life, about the pressures that exist with high schoolers and junior hires and elementary age, with all the different dynamics that we face culturally. And we're simply trying to help people sort through some pretty significant weeds to come to good conclusions that fit within the confine of their families, because this is really family issue, and we don't want to impose our belief on families, nor do we want someone else to impose their belief on our families. We're helping people make good decisions.
Right, you're giving information. So if you know what's on the back of every book, and I was a reader as a kid, and I picked my books. I picked my books by what I read on the back. It gave me information about what that story was going to be about. And this just gives that little bit of extra information about what's inside. And it helps a parent make a choice. I came home with a book like that, and my dad, my mother's hair would stare straight up, and my father's would have fallen out. So if it had said this book considered, there's no way my parents, even as I think if I was married, my mother would have banned me from that book.
Right.
But
my parents would have been the opposite. I grew up in a liberal household and was a Democrat when I first started out.
Oh my goodness.
And had a change of heart and a change of life. And in the midst of that, what happened with me is I became a conservative.
Mhm.
And to me, conservatism is the more rational approach to life. Is we are for less government, less intrusion,
Mhm.
but making sure that people don't harm other people
Right.
as much as possible.
And here's Janine Kogoleski, who's also a trustee, and she wants to make sure everybody understands that even if a book is moved to an adult section, even a 7-year-old can check it out with the parent's knowledge. Tell me where that, I still see that woman saying, you're trying to, I make the decisions what my kids read. We haven't stopped that. Nobody has stopped that. They're still able to do that,
They
just as Janine said. So whoever that parent was, if you're watching, there it is. You can make that decision. But we're putting you in a position where you can make the decision rather than your kid making it without your knowledge. And I think that's the big important thing.
Right, because that's the way libraries work.
Yes.
Anything that is curated, anything that is in the collection, anyone who has a library card can check it out.
That's right.
And just because we potentially can move, and our library director has moved some books
Sure.
that have been challenged. She's moved them into the adult section. That is what she's doing in responding to some of these challenges. That doesn't mean, as you just said, that a child cannot go into that section, pull the book off a shelf, and check it out. We don't restrict people from checking books out. We simply put them in categories, because classification categories are integral to a library's ability to find information.
Okay, I want to be really clear here. Janine, you're saying that if a book is moved to an adult section, a 7-year-old can only check it out with a parent's knowledge, or can they check it out without it?
They can check it out without a parent's knowledge.
Okay, all right.
They can.
Okay, all
because
right.
they have a library card.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no way around that. If we put it into the adult section, what we're doing is we're helping parents to guide their children without having to go through extensive research of whatever's in the library.
Okay.
But we can't restrict a child from checking a book out. We can't do it.
Okay.
It's,
All right, so you're putting a warning on so everybody knows. So
Yeah.
if I tell my kids, you come up with something with you're going to be grounded. That's scary.
right.
That's just
A
scary
parent
to
can
me.
do that,
That
right.
is scary to me.
But that is.
I know.
Those are the rules.
Those are the rules. I get it.
And we live by the rules.
But you know what scares me is back.
We're Republicans. We
Yeah,
live by the rules.
I agree. when I had kids, teenagers and preteens, I lived in the city of Howell, and they would come to me, Mom, can I go hang out with Tom? No. Mom, can I go hang out at the park? No. Well, can I go to the library? Sure, go ahead. And now I almost rather just say, go hang out in town, stay away from that library. I had two teenage boys. I'm sure there was, and a girl, and the curiosity there, the thought of them being able to just have free access to that, it just makes me cringe. I'm really glad I'm not.
Well, if you have kids, it is always advisable that you are active in your children's life. And so if they're going to the library to check out books, go with them. Look at what they're looking at. Look at what they're wanting to read. Help them to make good decisions. That's what a good parent does. A good parent becomes active in their children's lives and gives them guidance. Now, I may not like what some parents' guidance is, but that is the parental prerogative.
Right.
But whatever you do, if you're watching this podcast, be a responsible parent. Make sure that you're with your children. Make sure you're observing what they watch on television, what they watch at the movies, what they're checking out at libraries.
What they do on their computer.
What they do on their computer. Be with them and help them to navigate some really big issues that has confronted our culture and society. Now, I'm 68 years old. When I was a kid, it was a lot different than now.
Sure.
Pornography was illegal. It's not like that anymore. The Supreme Court made their ruling when I was young that pornography is determined by how you perceive it. And all of a sudden, our culture was inundated with a lot of things that may or may not be in the culture's best interest. But regardless of that, it is where we're at. And so parents, if you are watching, your responsibility is to make sure that you curate your child's mind. That is your responsibility. Control what they read. Get active. Get active in the school board meetings, get active in library board meetings, make sure that your voices are heard so that we know how we can help to assist. And that is across the spectrum, liberal, conservative, in between. We're only here to help, but you are the one that has to help your children.
Okay. So, and all you're doing is you're labeling so that parents know what they can do or what their child is reading, and then they can make an informed decision. And if they say that's okay, then it's okay. And if they want to take the book away, that's fine. But that's their right. But
That's their right.
You're just letting them know what their child's reading. I cannot think of one logical argument for that. I just can't.
Right. When my kids were of age, my boys are full grown. We have grandkids now.
Sure.
But when they were of age, we guarded their minds. We guarded their eye gates. We made sure that we were in control as much as possible of what was being fed into their souls.
Sure.
And that's all you can do. And there's always end arounds, and there's always people that will try to influence in different ways. But your responsibility is to actively engage with your children, making sure that your values are being imputed into them.
All right. So Sage is coming back Sunday.
That's what they're.
That's what you're hearing. You're hearing. So they're going to have a big rally or whatever. So I would not. I never ever believe in counter rallying because it just doesn't. All it does is incite violence many times, especially to I've seen this group get violent, and I've seen the group, like I said, they show up masked and armed, or some of their members. So, and then of course, if somebody does something that they just, that they get blamed for, well, that wasn't our member. These are public. Oh, stop it. Stop it. If you're going to do it, take credit for it. So, or take the blame or whatever. So, grow up over there. This group, the Stand Against Extremism, which is a joke of a name because they're about as extreme as they get. Be understanding that if you see this group or you read about this group and the group is trying to say they're here for your rights, they're here to protect you, that is garbage. All they want to do is fight over over political ideology, and they will just throw mud at the wall and hope it sticks and try to destroy whatever they can. Now, we've been diligent about reporting everything that we have or everything that they've done that is just garbage. And we put it out. We put the proof out that it's garbage, just like tonight. So I thank you so much, Pastor Bolin, for showing up and coming and explaining this craziness to us. So understand if you're thinking about, if you're curious about that Sage group, this is not the group to get behind. They're absolute. They're mild terrorists. They just attack without any other reason. Like I said, if they really dislike the library policies, then they'd be picketing all the libraries, right? Because they all have the same ones.
That or realistically, what they should have done is run candidates that could beat us. Because seriously, we're Americans. We vote on.
That's
we
right.
vote people into office.
That's right.
And there was a lot of publication from these people, from these groups that are more leftist, where they were rallying the troops to keep me from getting elected, and a couple of other people that ran. It didn't work. I wound up getting elected, and the American way is, if you don't like what I'm doing, vote me out.
Right.
Do a recall. My wife would actually be happy if they did that. She, when she's looking at this library board, she's like, it's taking up too much of your time. You have a church to pastor.
Right.
And all the other things that we do. But I like doing this. I'm glad we were able to come in. I'm glad I was able to come in and to assist in sorting something out and putting something that, for all intents and purposes, including one of the liberals on our board, they saw this as being common sense. It makes sense. It works. Is everyone happy with it? Probably not. But that's not the point. The point of a civilized society, and a society in which opposing viewpoints come together, is finding a way to make it work in spite of our differences. And that's the American way. I miss the days when Democrats and Republicans had civil discussions. And we would come
lately, that's for sure.
we would come to conclusions, and none of us would be happy ultimately with the conclusion, but we would be satisfied that both of our points were represented.
That's right.
And those were good days, and we need to get back to that. And instead of letting the ultimate radicals try to sway, it's just a dunderheaded approach in my opinion.
Yes, it is. It's dunderheaded. That's good. We in my world, in my house, we call it chowderheaded. But yes, I think it's the same thing. Chowderheaded thing to do.
Dunderheaded, it works.
That is a chowderheaded thing to do. But I will tell you, and I have to say this, especially since you said they're extreme and they're radical and their rhetoric doesn't reach people anymore. And I will tell you, every time something lunatic like this happens, another swing voter or another independent takes 2 steps to the right. So why it drives me crazy to see it every time I say it. There's another vote. But thank you, by the way, all you radicals out there, for getting President Trump elected, because that's how it got there. It was your own craziness and your own pushing the boundaries and your own inflatable penises in front of churches. Come on.
Right. They helped
keep it up.
They helped our church become what it is, because back in 2020, when the COVID lockdown happened, we stayed open. We never shut down a single Sunday. And some of these same people, they were leaving sage on our parking lot and they were putting it in our mailboxes. And I'm assuming it's the same group that was doing that. They were standing across the street from our church, protesting, holding up their signs and cursing at people as they were driving into the parking lot. They helped us. Our church grew. And it's WHMI. They ran a bunch of articles on us.
I do want to say something. I do want to say something about WHMI. In no way, shape, or form is any of my statements tonight aimed at WHMI. It is WHMI did not go out. They did not create the story. Sage sent them a press release and WHMI posted it, but they are not the authors. They are not the ones who created the situation. So let me make it really clear. All the garbage, all the crap that was in that press release came from Sage. It was not created by or designed by WHMI. So I just want to put that little statement out there. This is all Sage.
Right, and nothing that we've done, as far as I know, is Project 225 or 2025 or whatever. Really, to be quite frank, I have no idea what that is, other than I saw some anti-Republican advertisement pre-election about it. I've never read it, never researched it, don't really want to know. And if there was a Project 2025, then that's what's being implemented now. Well, people do create plans, and if it is, it is. If it wasn't, it wasn't. Who knows? And I really don't care.
Right.
I do like what's happening in our country.
Yes,
I'm
I do
a conservative, and I like what's happening.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you for coming. We're going to go to a commercial, except we got one more comment here. Pastor, you're doing a good job while in office. Terrific. Thank you so much, Mark. I tease Mark as our Wayne County Republican, and I tell him he's exactly 50%. All right, Mark. We're going to be right back. I have to make a couple announcements here. So we're going to come to
John Adams warned that the Constitution is wholly inadequate without a moral and religious people. As conservatives, we must reclaim the faith that shaped it, rooted in Jesus Christ and the Bible. To help you understand the historic Christianity that our country was founded on, check out theexaltedchrist.com, a resource website proclaiming Christ as King.
Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning is a fantastic new blend of herbs and vegetables made in Livingston County. Add a tablespoon to homemade breads, soups, stews, meat, poultry, vegetables, casseroles, sauces, and more. To order, email Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning at gmail.com or message the Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning Facebook page. It's time to divorce your Marry Me Chicken and take advantage of free delivery in and around Livingston County. Bunny's Fabulous Seasoning, the only seasoning you need.
Back. Okay, so I'm gonna make what a great show. That Sheriff Murphy is so full of good. Well, he's full of a lot of stuff. I can tell him that, but he's full of good information and funny stories. And he's just it's good to know when your sheriff can come on here at just about any time I ask him to. He'll make time and just kind of update us, whether it's his campaign or how the sheriff works, or who knew that stuff about other towns and about inmates and about all that kind of stuff. So that's all good stuff to know, and it makes us more informed residents, more informed voters, and it gives confidence in his abilities to do things. So I commend him so much for his willingness to come up here. And Pastor Bolin, so much drama over doing the right thing, and I just commend him for just keeping his calm. And me, I'm all over the place. Can you believe this? They're making this crap up, and he's like, we're just trying to help. So it's terrific. But a couple of announcements. Starting tomorrow, every Wednesday, we're going to be having at the American Legion 141 Post. That's the American Legion that's on the corner of Grand River and 59 in Howell. At 7 o'clock for the next, until October 8th. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing line dance lessons. And we have a reason for this. Some of us will go there at 6 and have dinner. They have really good dinners at a reasonable price. So they have the best cheeseburgers and fries. They're just fantastic. I don't know what they do, but they're great. But they have good dinners. And on Wednesday, so from tomorrow till October 8th, we will be there learning 1 or 2 line dances a week, starting at 7 till about 8:30. Some of us come at 6 for dinner, but no charge for that. And also, I've invited the Legion members, so we'll have some veterans there hoofing it up with us. But we're going to do that. The reason we're doing these line dance lessons is because on October 15th, we're having our Reagan Day dinner. And our Reagan Day is going to be a pig roast, and it's going to be a barn bash. And we're having it at the wonderful, fabulous Cross W Ranch. If you've not been to an event at the Cross W, you are missing out. That is a fantastic place, central in the county on D19, just north of Coon Lake Road. It's on the east side. Nice barn there, big barn, huge barn. And we've secured that. We have a conservative elected official that's going to be roasting a pig for us. And we have all the fixins. We have macaroni. I think we ordered macaroni and cheese and cornbread and chicken, roast chicken, and some other beans and things like that. So all the fixins, choice of dessert. Your tickets are $100, and that covers the big dinner. It covers beer and wine, and it also covers. We're going to have a square dance caller who's going to do beginning square dancing. So he'll do it right on the spot. He'll put us in, we'll get in our little foursomes and he'll move us around as we need to. This is not Dancing with the Stars, people. Nobody's getting judged for it. It's just going to be fun. And the other thing we're going to do before that, between dinner and the square dancing, we're going to have some line dancing. So that's why I'm inviting everybody to come learn. We're going to learn 1 or 2 line dances a week, depending on how, complicated they are. I'm going to try and keep them real simple. And we're going to be able to have a little hoedown. So you can come and you can wear anything you want to this, but we are encouraging blue jeans and cowboy boots and cowboy hats if you have them. We're going to try and we want to give away a prize for the best male, best female, and best couple Western wear. So come, be prepared. Come in your, if you've got cowboy, if you want to wear jeans and sneakers, that's just fine. But come in something Western, very comfortable, very casual, because it's in a barn and it's just a great place to be. We're going to have great food, we're going to invite candidates, statewide candidates can have a minute to talk. So we're going to allow them to talk up there and, you get some time to shake their hands and talk to them on one-on-one in a very comfortable, very relaxed. And I'm going to tell them, don't you dare wear a suit in this place. You come, I don't care if you're a candidate, you come in jeans. Do not come in a suit. So we're going to have some fun doing that. Want to make sure next week is Labor Day, not Memorial Day, Labor Day on Monday. So Tuesday, because people are just going to be coming back, we're not going to have a podcast on September 2nd. So we'll see you on the next one. And of course, now I'm going to have to tell you who's coming on the 9th. We have, I don't know. We have a good show. I'll watch the LCRP page for the next announcements. I'll put that, but no podcast on the 2nd. So if you come to the Facebook page, then say, "Oops, I forgot," and post it and move on. But we will see you on the 9th, which will be our next podcast. But Mark. As always, glad to have you. Glad to have you on the show. If you can figure out a way to get to our grab the other half of the Wayne County Party and take a ride out to our Reagan Day dance, October 15th at the Cross W. I have a flyer. I'll be putting it up. Matter of fact, I have put it up on the Republican page, but I'll have it up here probably in the next one, and we'll put it up every single week until then. But it's gonna be a blast. We're just gonna have, and it comes down to this. I have had a string of rubber chicken fancy in a dress dinners, and I just wanted to do something different. So big shout out to Michelle Blondeel for her taking on this. She is all into getting mason jars with wheat in it for decorations and picking out the right tables, and she's just doing a great job. And so this success of this Reagan Day dinner is going to be 100% on her. She's really, really doing it. She's kicking butt, coming up with the ideas and organizing everything and coming, spreadsheets and everything else. So it's a fundraiser. Remember this, it is a fundraiser. We will have sponsorships I'll be listing out there, but it's a fundraiser for LCRP. We use that money to elect Republicans. Everything you see on this show happens. All the good that we do, all the good that I'm able to bring on. I don't do it, but I bring on the people that do the good, and they get to report that because they are Republicans telling you about Republican policies. Remember that. So please support our party. Become a member, LivingstonRepublicans.com. Click join. You'll be glad you did. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks, unless you want to come tomorrow to the American Legion at 7 to learn how to boot, scoot, boogie, or whatever else we're doing there. All right, guys. Good night. Have a good weekend.